All right, let's get rolling. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. It's game week. It's taken us a while to get here, but we are finally here, and really kind of just grateful to open the season. I told our staff this morning, and I'll share with our players this afternoon when we get together. Um, I think we need to find joy in coaching and playing at this time of the year. So many things going on in the world. Um, thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in Louisiana dealing with Hurricane Ida, and then military forces in Afghanistan and everywhere, especially those families that have lost loved ones. So, a lot going on in the world that's negative, and hopefully, our fans and our players and our staff can really find some joy in the opportunity to get out and compete this week. And so, excited about starting the season. I'm glad we're on the road to start off. I really am. We had some struggles there last year, so we're looking to play much improved than we did a year ago on the road. Starting off with a rivalry game versus a very talented Maryland team. Coach Loxley and his staff have done a great job recruiting. I know they had a top 20 class last year, and you can see that talent being displayed on all three phases. Difficult first game. New coordinators in all three phases for them. Start with offense. Their spread, their multiple tight end, quarterback, receiver, their skill set, their skill players are really talented. At quarterback, really talented kid. Saw him play multiple times in high school. He's a winner. He's a dual threat. He can run the football. He throws it intermediary and deep. Has nice touch. I know that from seeing him live. Receiver-wise, very talented. Maybe as talented as anybody we're going to play this year. They are they're probably 4 to 6 quality guys there at the receiver position. It starts for them at receiver with Demas and Jarrett, and I think those guys are NFL players, explosive. It's going to be a great challenge for us. And then the tight end's back, and the tight end's a really good player. He's an NFL prospect. I saw he was on the Senior Bowl watch list as well. So just their talent, their skill on offense is going to be a challenge for us. Defensively, I thought they played extremely well at the end of last season. If you look at their stats, last 3 games, impressive. They're big up front. Number 34, he led the Big Ten in sacks last year. The number 30, who plays the edge for him, he had a huge game against Rutgers at the end of the season when he came back from injury. And they're very good in the back end. They challenged people their last 3 games. Now, what they're going to do with the new coordinator to be determined, but they're talented. Stills was we recruited him really hard, and he was a freshman All-American. He had a great year. And then on special teams, their kicker returns. He's been very solid. They have a right-footed punter and a left-footed punter that they use, and they've been good as well. And so, with that, I'll take questions.
So Neal, for a coach, what worries you in openers maybe compared to other games, especially when it's a fellow Power Five?
Yeah, I think there's just the unknowns. Until you go out and play a game, I'm not sure that you know for sure what you have. I think the college really system has flaws. I've been a big proponent for a long time. I think college football is lacking behind. High schools have scrimmages. NFL teams have preseason practices or preseason scrimmages, and then they have dual practices. I think there's a model out there in college football that we should explore that gives us an opportunity. I don't know if we need to scrimmage because our numbers are so low, but I think there's a way to practice with another team. Even maybe somebody at a lower level, just to line up and play against somebody other than yourself. Because I think that any coach that says they know what they have, I don't know if I'm believing them, because you're lining up and you're playing against yourselves the whole time. And so that's probably the biggest concern. Is just where are we at now? It's time to play. It's definitely time to play. We need to play and kind of see where we're at and see where we need to grow. But there's always concerns just because you don't know.
More unknowns with this opener because they only played 5 games last year and they've got so many new guys in there too deep.
Yeah, fair. Well, I think if you look at it, John, they're one of the have the highest return rates percentage wise on offense and defense. But there's not a whole lot to go on. They only played 5 games a year ago. And like I said, they have new coordinators. You know, it's Coach Stewart on defense. You know, he's at Baylor last year, and then he was in the NFL. It's been since 17 since he really called it. So, you know, you're kind of guessing, for lack of a better term, on that. Coach Enos is the offense coordinator, and, you know, last time he called it was at Miami. He was at Cincinnati, and they were really good last year, obviously. And then special teams-wise, you know, they've got a new coordinator there as well. And so with Coach Zook, and so he's been on the staff, but he hasn't been the actual coordinator. So, you know, we're trying to use our best guesses on what we're going to see.
You mentioned you're looking forward to playing this first one on the road. Is that just to kind of break the string from last year, or the idea of, hey, we're all coming together and, you know, getting this, you know, getting all the focus, getting away from a little bit of the hoopla? What's the ideas there?
Yeah, no, I just, you know, we need to get a bad taste out of our mouth. We didn't go on the road and perform as well. That hadn't been the case historically. You know, we played our best football on the road in 19, you know, winning at Kansas State and winning at TCU. So, and then historically for our staff, we've played really well on the road, you know. So I don't think it's an issue, but we still got to go out and win on the road, which we didn't a year ago.
On your sideline, do you, in a first game, kind of look for certain tells for people who maybe haven't seen yet? And then, in addition, this year is different because you may have veterans who didn't play in front of a crowd last year, and you're on the road, and it just seems like that normal alertness might be heightened.
Yeah, I think that was something that was lost last year. I don't think the newcomers that played, and we played several freshmen a year ago. We played our first game with nobody here against Eastern Kentucky, so they were maybe able to get into the flow. There maybe weren't as many nerves as there normally would have been. And then we went and, you know, I don't know what they said the percentage was at Oklahoma State, but there was a pretty good crowd there. So, and that's the way it was for most of the games last year. You had a feel, even though it maybe wasn't as many people as normal, it was loud, whether it was stadium noise or whatever. So outside of our first game and maybe our second game, we played Baylor here. You know, our guys played in pretty good atmospheres, but it is going to be different. It's going to be different for the Wyatt Milums, the Caden Prathers, that, you know, I'm just thinking on offense that their first college football experience is going to be quite a bit different than Zach Frazier's was last year playing against an empty stadium in Eastern Kentucky.
Have you decided whose developmental squad, what freshmen are going to play?
We've got an idea. You know, we really do. I think offensively, you know, I'll start right there, is Caden Prather. He'll be in the rotation. He's going to play. Wyatt Milum will play at some point. I think those are, you know, Justin Johnson will probably see some playing time offensively. Defensively, we, you know, both transfers at linebacker, not their first college action. And then Charles Woods also. Aubrey Burks is a possibility, you know, and then Kerry Martin, who didn't play a year ago. So those are some new faces. Maybe Aubrey being only true freshman, maybe on defense. But those are some of the new faces that will play.
You know, I know you talked about Casey Legg a couple weeks ago, but you know, now that he's officially the starter, it's such a unique path he's taken to get here from a small private school that didn't even have football. So, you know, what has that kind of been like for him the last couple of years, and just kind of what stuck out most to you in the spring and summer fall about him?
Well, he won the job in fall camp, and I'd be remiss while talking about Casey without talking about Evan. You know, and I had this conversation with Evan. I mean, what he's been able to do in just under 10 months from really severe knee injury, you know, what he's been able to do as far as coming back and kicking, and he's going to handle our kickoff duties. But I think it's, you know, he needs to appreciate what he's been able to do in a relatively short amount of time. Is coming back and be able to perform at a high level. Casey's just really consistent through fall camp. He's done a nice job of changing the ball flight, getting it up higher. The thing that I really like is he's so grounded in all aspects of his life. He doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. If you remember, he got pressed into action 2 years ago and really made a huge kick at Baylor that got taken away, but then went back against Kansas State and made a huge kick as well. Struggled a little bit at the end of last year, and we put Sumter in to kind of finish the year. But I think it's a great story. You know, he soccer player growing up, never played high school football, didn't have high school football, came here and really kind of waited his turn, took advantage of his opportunities, and now he'll go out there and he'll kick the ball for us when we line up against Maryland as a starter.
Number of redshirt freshmen on the depth chart also, and you mentioned obviously last year, abnormal year for them. Are you getting the sense that with a more normal offseason, they're getting back to where they would have been, you know, had they gone through a regular progression first 2 years in the program?
Well, that's the hope. That's the hope. We're work in progress probably on as far as the offensive line goes. You know, we're not as deep as we'd like to be, but those guys that have been in our program now, we're starting to show some signs of strength and development. You know, and defensively, it's really the only spot that we're really young is in the back end. You know, our second group in the back end is inexperienced, and we're gonna have to get them playing time. It's important. You know, these first 3 games in non-conference play, we've got to get them experience by the time we get to Oklahoma.
Depth charts are depth charts, Neal, but you know what happened with the battle between Daryl and Jackie, and how do you see that kind of working out, even moving forward?
Yeah, so Jackie missed a good bit of time. He's going to play, and he's going to be healthy for the game, but he missed some time during fall camp. And Jackie's going to play a lot. Daryl Porter we grade everything defensively, and he was our most productive in that room during fall camp, and he's had some growth, and he's earned that opportunity. But Jackie will play a lot.
Question about right tackle, then you talk a lot about that competition. Do you see both those guys playing, or you go with a hot hand? Or?
No, I think both will play. Yeah, both will play. A lot of it will depend how practice goes this week. We'll have this will be our hardest day of the week today, kind of a medium day tomorrow, and then we'll walk through Thursday, run through Friday. But Tuesday and Wednesday's practice will go a long way, determine how those reps are going to be split up.
Rakeem Jarrett, big time reputation. Is there enough on her to see what he can do? Looks like he's going to return kicks.
Yeah, you know, you just turn on the Penn State game from a year ago. You know, he takes 2 to the house. You know, runs away from Penn State's DBs. You know, and a huge win for them. He goes over 100 as a true freshman. You know, you can watch his high school tape. You know, he's super talented, and I expect him to be more comfortable than he was a year ago. So he's a threat. He's a threat. We've got to locate him. We know they're going to try to get him the ball a bunch of different ways. They lined him up multiple positions last year, and I think he'll be even more of a focal point for him this year.
Neal, your backup center is Jordan. Played a lot of guard too, from what we've been able to see. What type of camp does he have? What type of potential?
Yeah, he'll rotate some at guard and at center, but he's moved into our second center position. He's had a solid fall camp. He got sick a little bit last week and missed some time, but I like his potential. I really do. He's a guy that's feisty. He's a smart football player. You know, I think the center position is something that's not as natural for him, but we forced it through the spring and into fall camp, and he's starting to communicate at a high level. And his confidence in playing that position, our confidence in him playing that position, has continually to grow and feel good. If he needed to go in there, we feel good about him.
Neal, it seems like you can both throw and run the ball, and then you've got what looks like a balanced offense there. Going against a defense that you're not sure what they're going to do, like you're doing now, how do you set it up going into the game with the game plan? Not what are you going to do? But
Yeah, I think that what you do is you go into it, and you got to have the ability to adjust. And more your game plan goes into, okay, what are you best at? Like coming out of fall camp, you rep your whole package. And of that package, you know, and our defense does multiple things. They give us a bunch of different looks in fall camp. So coming out of fall camp, and it's not necessarily predicated on what we were good at last year, okay? So, you know, because the pieces are different. And so coming out of fall camp is all right, what were we the very best at, and then who do we want to feature? And so we take the concepts or the schemes that we're the best at leaving fall camp, and then the players that we want to highlight, and that's what we focus on, rather than because guessing at best what they're going to do defensively. You know, obviously how they played last year and what he's done in the past when he called it, it's just a guess. You know, we don't have 100% knowledge in what they're going to do, but so I think we got to focus on our players and our schemes that we have the most confidence in, and then we've had the most success in, and that's what we'll use going into the first contest.
Neal, you had discussed some of those young defensive linemen. You needed those guys to step up. Do you like what you saw out of some of them this camp?
Yeah, I thought Jalen Thornton and Jordan Jefferson really earned those backup opportunities, and we needed them to make a step going into fall camp, and they did. You know, one person that's not going to play, Darrell Middleton, he'll be out for this game. But I thought Jalen and JJ did a nice job, and they're ready to play, and they're playing the best football of their careers right now.
O'Loughlin and his progress and return to play?
Yeah, so O'Loughlin and Tony Mathis kind of be game day decisions. You know, I'm not real sure how it's going to play out.
What kind of recruiting implications does Saturday's game have?
You know, I think it does. I think it has some implications. You know, if we're playing them at the end of the year, probably a little bit more so, closer to signing day. But I think it definitely does. I mean, that's an area that's important to us. You know, Loxley and his staff have done a nice job of going in and keeping a lot of those DMV kids right there. You know, and I think that's their goal. The more success they have, the better they're gonna be able to do that. I think going in there and getting a win, you know, will help our efforts for sure.
Were you aware of the DMV talent before you got here?
Yeah, we started getting into it at Kentucky when I was a coordinator. Yeah, and you know, it's really become, you know, probably in the last 10 years nationally, and the way recruiting's worked, it's completely changed. You know, there's really no regional recruiting anymore at the highest level. It's taken on the more of a national look. But that was something that we were noticing at Kentucky at that time, back in 13 and 14. I think we were one of the first schools that were kind of going north in the SEC. Now everybody's doing it. But yeah, it's a really talented group, you know. And I think the other thing too, there's obviously a lot of population there. So where there's a lot of players, there's going to be a lot of. I mean, where there's a lot of people, there's going to be more football players. Just that's the way it works. But I think the coaching has increased. It was such a basketball area for such a long time, and it's still a quality basketball area. But the football has really improved. Coaching, there's a lot of really good programs in that area.
Take the Maryland coaches, they can make a 5-minute drive and do what they need.
Yeah, they can. Well, traffic's a little different too, though, John. You know what I mean? Yeah, probably a little. It's probably a little easier to maneuver around Cheat Lake than it is College Park. What do you think, Tony?
Your message to Jared Dengy this week, what do you ask him to do in game one?
Man, I really just want him to enjoy the process. You know, enjoy the process of getting prepared. We talk a lot about earning the right, you know, and he's earned the right. He really has. He's earned the right. We've been talking about with our team is, you know, there's dreamers and there's vision, and there's people that have visions. And dreamers, to me, they have this, you know, this dream of the type of player they want to be or what the end result, but it's just kind of a dream. They just kind of think about it. And then there's people with visions, and there's the people with visions, they have a plan, and it's about action. And it's hard because there's things you got to do to receive the outcome that you want to. And he's a guy with a vision. He's earned the opportunity to go out and compete at a high level. My expectation and my belief is he's going to play well. And there's nothing I've seen over the last 9 months that would tell me any different.